Hey guys, last weekend on May 21st, there were two festivals going on. The Cheerwine Festival down in Salisbury and the Got to Be NC Festival in Raleigh. What's funny is I covered Cheerwine in my last episode, but when I started recording that episode, I didn't realize that there was a Cheerwine Festival going on that very weekend. So I didn't get a chance to go down there, but I did go to the Got to Be NC Festival in Raleigh. And so in this episode, I want to tell you all about it. Welcome to the NC Everything Podcast. I'm your host Curtis, and this is the weekly show where I talk about everything that has anything to do with North Carolina. This episode is going to be a little different because usually I have some research I did and I'm telling you about some subject that I've worked on. There's only been a few times though where I'm telling you about something I actually did. Most recently was the Cape Hatteras vacation I took. And so this episode is going to be kind of like that one. But this one's going to be a whole lot shorter, I'm sure of it. But I will post some pictures that I took myself while I was at the Got to Be NC Festival. And the reason I tell you that is because if this is your first episode, this isn't normally how my content goes. But I do like changing it up every once in a while. But you can check the links in the description to access all my other episodes. Now, if you're one of my dedicated listeners and you're coming back yet again, I want to thank you and tell you that I'm still stuffed up. I don't think it's the cold that I had. I think it might be pollen. But my nose is still just as messed up as it was last time you watched me. But in my time, that was only a few days ago. I'm trying to get ahead, so I just finished that really rough recording a few days ago. And talking about that rough recording, I didn't address the missing beard in that video. Some of you may have been shocked to see that I had shaved. But don't worry, if you like the beard, I plan on growing it back probably September, October. I'll start growing it back for the winter. And if you're glad to see the beard gone, I don't shave regularly. I'll probably keep some whiskers for a while. But then once I start growing the beard back, I'll shave it again probably next April or May or something like that. But anyway, I'm feeling a whole lot better even though I'm still stuffy. And I'm not exhausted and falling asleep. So maybe I can give you a good episode this time. Now, let's jump on into it. First, I want to give you a little backstory on the Got to Be NC program, but I couldn't find a whole lot on it, so this part ain't going to take very long. The program started in 1985 as the Goodness Grows in North Carolina program, but then it was rebranded in 2005 as Got to Be NC. And this program operates under the North Carolina Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services. Now, what is the program? It promotes local. It's hard to say really, but the whole concept is it promotes buying local, but it also promotes local products, specifically agricultural products. And the website, I think, says food, fiber, and forestry products. And not only does Got to Be NC promote these products, but it also promotes awareness of how these products go from the field to the store. So as you can see, there's a lot of aspects to Got to Be NC. I mean, it's promotional, it's educational, and it supports small businesses. Now, these businesses I speak of, they don't get a Got to Be NC sticker and slap it on their truck. You have to be a member of Got to Be NC. And there's some pretty strict rules to be a member. Your product that you're marketing, and I'm going to talk more about those products, but your product has to be grown, produced, or manufactured right here in North Carolina. Now, if for whatever reason your product isn't grown, manufactured, or produced right here in North Carolina, the main ingredients or the main factors in your product have to be from North Carolina. And like I said, the products fall under food, fiber, and forestry. But there are a few products that don't fall under food, fiber, or forestry. And they're limited to wax products, candles, goods made from wood, animal feed, and animal soaps. So it's pretty limited. And here's the last thing I have before I tell you about my day at the Got to Be NC Festival. When you hear farm products, agricultural products, you might be thinking people taking a truckload of carrots up to Raleigh. No, that's the farmer's market. Now, Got to Be NC, they love farm products, your vegetables, your fruits, but Got to Be NC is really about products made from farm products, not just the farm products themselves. So when you look through Got to Be NC products, you're going to see chips made from North Carolina potatoes, hot sauces made from North Carolina ingredients, and jerky made from North Carolina livestock, that kind of thing. I just don't want you to be confused and think it's kind of a jacked up farmer's market. It really isn't. All right, so let me tell you about my day at the farmer's market. All right, so let me tell you about my day at the Got to Be NC Festival. So I got up really early and got ready to go. Plus, my oldest son hates when I wake him up early, so I enjoy that kind of thing. But we head out, get coffee, stop at Bojangles. And we didn't stop at Bojangles just because it's a North Carolina company. My son just loves Bojangles. But then we head up to the state fairgrounds. And we're there a little early. The Got to Be NC Festival hasn't really started for the day yet. But the Raleigh Flea Market is going on. And I love flea markets. It turns out my son does too. So we walked around the flea market area for a while before we went down to the area where the Got to Be NC Festival was going on. Which, by the way, the Got to Be NC was going on in the Exposition Center and the Jim Graham building. And we started out in the Jim Graham building. And it was full of agricultural exhibits. So we went in and they had one of those setups where you can milk a cow. It was a cutout of a cow, and you can milk it and you get water, of course. And so my boys, they sit there and played with that for a little while. And there was a thing where you could collect eggs from chickens. And then they had some animals on display. They had some Shetland ponies. And I can't remember while I'm recording where they came from. But there's a picture, and I think it says on there what farm they came from. Then we walked around, and they had a handful of baby pigs under a heat lamp. But then they had several mama pigs set up, and they were kind of laying down on their side. And they were in a different area, and they were nursing babies. And actually, one of the mamas was standing up, and she was actively giving birth to baby pigs while we were standing there. And a lot of people were crowded around to watch this. I don't mean to sound blasé, but I worked at a farm for several years, and I delivered many baby calves. So the mama giving birth to the baby pigs, it didn't do a whole lot for me, but the kids like seeing it, and a lot of people like seeing that kind of stuff. You keep on walking around, and they had some alpacas, and they had some sheep, and that's kind of the way it went in the Jim Graham building. It was just a display of agriculture. But then we went into the Exposition Center, and that's kind of the main event at the Got to Be NC Festival. That's where all the vendors are going to be with all their products. And it was packed in there. I mean, not people. It wasn't too crowded, actually. The vendors were packed in there. It was a lot of companies. Now, I go to the state fair. A lot of you have been. And there's a Got to Be NC tent. So when you walk in that tent at the state fair, it might be 30 or 40 vendors in there. But this Exposition Center, it seemed like it had more than 100 vendors inside of it. And it was really cool to see all these North Carolina products all under one roof. And I might post a picture of the list of all the vendors that were there. I'm not going to run through all of them, but I will tell you about the booth. But I will tell you about the tables that I stopped at. Now, when you go through these things, if you've never been, most of them have free samples. And that's the big draw. Everybody wants something for free. And we got a ton of samples up there. I did buy some products. I didn't just take the free stuff. The truth is, I wanted to buy everything I tried. But if I did that, I would have probably spent $200, $300 in there. So just a list of the tables I stopped at. And I'm going to try to leave links to the Facebook pages for these companies in the description. But we stopped at King's Pepper. And they have an African taco kit. And it was really, really good. We stopped at Mike D's Barbecue Sauce, Woogie Foods, Rose Acre Farms, the Misty Morning Ranch, the Bull City Pepper Company, the Carolina Crispy Fry, Spicer Sauces, Joyfield Foods, Rising Smoke Sauce Works, well-seasoned table, battle-tested craft barbecue sauce. And I actually bought some of that battle-tested craft barbecue sauce. They had several samples for you to try, and we ended up getting the mesquite. And, I mean, it was really good when I tried it, but I walked away, and the more I thought about it, I said, no, I want to go ahead and get a bottle of that. But the thing about the battle-tested barbecue sauce, it's made by veterans, and when you buy a bottle, there's money donated to the veterans. Let's see, we stopped at Blunt Pretzels. We stopped at the Bright Leaf table. And I didn't buy any Bright Leaf hot dogs there, but we buy Bright Leaf hot dogs pretty regular anyway. And if you've never had a Bright Leaf hot dog, it's one of the best hot dogs you will ever have. I don't typically eat hot dogs raw. You know, I want to make them into an actual hot dog. But Bright Leaf is one of the few hot dogs that I could open a pack and just eat them like they are. We stopped at Jabba's Hot and Sweet Barbecue and Dipping Sauce table, North Carolina Fudge, Naughty Schiavone Foods, and I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, Black Dog Gourmet, One Eats, that's EATZ, and Penelope's Pepper Jelly. And I would love to give you a description of all of those, but I don't remember all of them, and that would take a really long time. But I will say that Penelope's Pepper Jelly, it's a spicy jelly made out of apricot was one of them, and I think pineapple was another base. And I'm not a big fan of apricot, but it was really good jelly. Now, I know it didn't take me long to read that list, but we were in the Exposition Center for probably 2 hours walking around and talking to people and trying all these samples. Now, when we got done here, they did have rides set up, and I got a 4-year-old and a 13-year-old, so we took them down and let them ride some rides. But then at 2 o'clock, they were having a tractor pull. And I'm not going to miss an opportunity to see a tractor pull. A lot of people laugh at tractor pulls. Maybe they seem lame. I like tractor pulls. It may not be the most adrenaline-pumped sport, but I like sitting down watching a tractor pull. So I took my kids over there, and my 4-year-old, he wasn't feeling it. He was bored almost right away. I think my 13-year-old liked it pretty good. But we sat over there and watched that for a couple hours. We went and rode a few more rides, and then we were done for the day. We walked around the flea market one more time. Just my oldest son wanted to see if there was anything he might have missed on his way through the first time. So we walked around that for a few more minutes, and then we headed home. And like I said, I've never been to a Got to Be NC festival. I've only been to their tents or their booths set up at other events. But I wasn't disappointed. I had a really good time, and I actually can't wait to go next year. And that's really all I got on the Got to Be NC festival. I know this is a really short episode. I didn't mind as much because I'm kind of behind. I'm trying to catch back up. But anyway, thank you for listening. And like I always say, if you enjoyed the episode, you can subscribe, rate, and review to help the show. And if you're interested in all my other episodes, you can check that out using the links below. I have my audio-only episodes on the website, and they're streaming on the major platforms. And I post on YouTube now. A handful of you are watching as I speak on YouTube. But if you're only listening and you're interested in YouTube, there's a link to the YouTube channel in the description too. And if you got an idea for an episode or you just want to say hello, there's a contact button down there. And for all of you who have sent me suggestions, I promise you I am working on them. I don't want you to think I forgot about you. Some of the suggestions that I've received, it's kind of hard to run down some information on them, but I'm working on it. Anyway, thank you again for listening. Y'all have a good weekend, and I'll talk to you next time.